I'm 78 years old, and for most of my life, people said the same thing about me. He's easygoing, he's calm, he doesn't make trouble. I used to take that as a compliment. Now I hear something else in it. I'm sitting in my living room as I record this. The house is quiet, not dramatic quiet, just the kind that doesn't expect to be broken, the kind that's learned to stay that way. I didn't ruin my life with one bad decision. I didn't explode or fall apart or walk away from everything. I disappeared slowly by choosing peace over truth. When I was younger, I believed conflict was dangerous. I grew up in a house where raised voices meant slammed doors, where silence afterward lasted for days. I learned early that calm felt safer than honesty, so I carried that lesson with me. When something bothered me, I swallowed it. When I disagreed, I nodded. When I felt hurt, I told myself it wasn't worth the argument. I thought I was being mature. I got married at 29. She was expressive, emotional. She wanted to talk things through. I didn't. I thought talking was how problems grew. I believed ignoring them made them shrink. When she asked, "Is everything okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And most of the time I believed it. But fine is a strange word. It doesn't mean good. It doesn't mean honest. It just means nothing is loud enough yet to force a response. Years passed like that. Small disappointments, small resentments, small moments where I wanted to speak and chose not to. I told myself I was keeping the peace. What I was really doing was postponing truth, and postponed truth doesn't disappear, it just waits. At work, I was dependable, never caused issues, never challenged anyone. Promotions passed me by, but I told myself that wasn't important. I didn't want stress, I didn't want confrontation. I told myself I was content. But contentment that requires silence isn't contentment, it's endurance. At home, the distance grew so gradually I didn't notice it happening. We still ate dinner together, still talked about practical things, schedules, groceries, weather. But the deeper questions stopped coming, not because she didn't care, because I trained her not to ask. When someone reaches for you enough times and finds nothing there, they stop reaching. That's something no one warns you about. The end of closeness doesn't arrive with a fight, it arrives with politeness. One night years later, she said something simple. "I don't know what you feel about anything anymore." I laughed it off, said she was overthinking, told her everything was fine. That was the moment I lost her, not because she left, because she stopped trying to be known. We stayed married for years after that. On paper, everything looked stable. No shouting, no drama. Friends thought we were solid. Inside the house, there was nothing to argue about anymore. There was also nothing to share. When she died, it wasn't sudden. Illness, time to prepare. People said the right things, told me I was strong, told me I handled it well. What they didn't see was the regret that came after. Not regret for harsh words, regret for all the words I never said, the truths I postponed until they expired. I realized something then that still makes my chest tighten. Honesty has a lifespan. You can't wait forever to tell someone who you are. Eventually the moment passes, and when it does, it doesn't come back. I see it now in my children. They love me, they respect me, but they don't confide it in me. They don't bring me the complicated parts of their lives. I taught them, without meaning to, that I was a safe place for calm, not for truth. If you're listening to this and you're proud of how easy you are, how little conflict you cause, how often you keep things smooth, I want you to pause. Ask yourself something honestly. Who actually knows you? not who depends on you, not who benefits from your silence. Who knows what you feel when you're not being reasonable? Because the cost of avoiding conflict isn't peace, it's distance. And distance, over time, turns into absence. I don't say this with bitterness, I say it with clarity that came too late. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to be louder, I wouldn't tell him to start fights or demand his way. I would tell him this: say the truth while it still belongs to the moment. Don't wait until it becomes a confession instead of a conversation. Because when you choose peace over truth long enough, you don't end up with peace. You end up alone, wondering when honesty quietly left the room. That's what I learned. Too late to change it for myself, but maybe not too late for you.